Hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hello. Everybody. Welcome. Make sure all y'all can hear and see me. If you hear my voice right now, if you see my face right now, please comment. Last week, I was missing all of the comments. I apologize, but this week we are back. I wanted to uh, holler at all y'all to say we're almost halfway through August, and people are back in school. So this year is flying by. But if you don't know who I am, if you've never met me, if you've never seen me, hello, nice to meet you. Hello. I am Tenille, and I guide people through reclaiming their identity and designing a full life even after diagnosis. And this is the Happily Healed with Tenille podcast. Hi, thanks for being here. Uh, Let me know what platform you are chiming in from and where you are. Oh, okay, here we are. You see me on Instagram. I love that. Thank you so much. Cool. I want everybody in the room. Get in the room. Share this. Get in the room because we have an incredible guest today. I am super excited to have this guest on today. Yes. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So, yes, we have an incredible guest today, and I met her on TikTok. Okay, I was on TikTok. I was just scrolling, and like attracts like, and I have been seeing some chronic illness baddies on the TikTok, and I stopped because she did something that I have never really seen, and is so needed. So I inboxed her. I'm like, hi, be my friend, please. Like, let's be loopy baddies together. And she was like, okay, cool. So she is a mother of three. She is a chronic illness warrior. She is the owner of a nonprofit. She is a veteran. Thank her for her service. Get in the comments and thank her for her service because that is insane. Went into the military after lupus. She's a sweet, kind, wonderful human as far as I am concerned. She has agreed to hang out with us today, and I want everyone to get in these comments and pay her some respect. Put some respect on her name. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Shenae.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, so Shenae, Dr. Shenae to be exact, respected. Okay. Um, so please, for people who don't know, you've never seen you. Also, we're gonna have all of her social media, so follow her on the Tickety Tockety specifically where I found her. Please let the people know who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, so of course, Dr. Shenae Whitehead. I recently moved to the DMV area, so I'm actually in Northern Virginia now from North Carolina. That's pretty much where I've been the majority of my life. Military brat, and then I ended at Bragg. So there you go. But I'm a psychologist, so licensed in the state of North Carolina. I still have my private practice there. And serial entrepreneur. So my daughter and I, now 14-year-old, we opened a kids spa in the Fayetteville area. So we recently closed it, hopefully to bring it here to Northern Virginia. And then of course my nonprofit, the Stacey Jones Foundation, named after my mother, who passed away in 2018. She passed from pancreatic cancer. However, she also had lupus. And so then myself and my sister as well. So we're in this interesting kind of family trio. So of course, learned a lot through my mom with having lupus. But once I was diagnosed and seeing her early on in my career, I made it a point to really focus on the mental health aspect of living with lupus. And so that's really my big thing, because I feel like even though we're in 2026 and people talk about mental health more, there's still not a lot. And then on top of it being in the, the Black community, mental health is still kind of, I feel like in its infancy with trying to encourage people, but mental health is part of your overall health. So I'm just a very big advocate on that side.
Awesome. I love that so much. Like I was so intrigued because I don't see people who are in the mental health space who have chronic illnesses. I know a lot of people. There's some doctors like that are doing rheumatologist, whatever body stuff, but like mental people don't understand that it is so mental to have a chronic illness. So
Yes.
like, I want to skip all like people don't know you, so they need to know you first, and then we're going to talk about how you got into mental health because that's so fascinating to me personally. But okay, so
Yes.
for the people. So how did you get diagnosed? Like, what was the uh like catalyst that brought it out? Like, even though if you have did your sister and mom get diagnosed first, or no?
So my mom first. She actually was around my age now, so a little before 40, 37 is when she was officially diagnosed. But she had symptoms for years and of course just didn't know, what it was.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
then, how it happened? You got sick. How did you get sick? What were the symptoms that brought you?
Um, so it was really interesting. I feel like a lot of it, or at least then, we were always told that it's some like stressful event, major traumatic event, whatever that kind of manifests itself because a lot of lupus is related to stress. And so in
Mm.
my case, what my doctors think was the birth of my son. So
Oh, wow.
in 2006, after I had him, and it was a very traumatic pregnancy to say the least. And so afterwards, I, kind of jumped right back into working. Been a workaholic since 14 and working two jobs. And so basically, one day like my whole body just started hurting. And I was telling my mom, and I was like, it's like I can't explain it, but like my body felt like I was on fire and it was literally like locking up. And every year, like my family was big on going to the beach, especially like Myrtle Beach
Mm.
every summer. And I know my back, especially, just felt like it was on fire. And I know I turned and I showed my mom, and I had like all of these like big lesions, like, I mean, big, like just all over my back. And of course, I told my mom, I was like, I'm not going to the beach like that. Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I just felt like, ugh. And so my mom was like, hey, write down all your symptoms. So I know I had a lot of joint pain, a lot of fatigue, and I kept pushing myself. And my mom was like, I feel like you might have lupus. So she had me see her rheumatologist at the time. And so I did, and she ran some labs, the initial, kind of stuff. So I know I had a positive ANA during that time, but of course she didn't do a lot of other stuff. But she was like, "Your labs look exactly like your mom's." But I know at that point I was trying to join the army, so I was like, "This is nice, but." Like I don't, if I do have that, then me trying to better myself for my son by joining the military, like that's not going to happen. So needless to say, me just being me, I was like, you know what, I'm going to push through this because my symptoms were also very similar to those of sickle cell. So that's what they thought I had, but all of those
Mm.
tests came back negative. And
Super
so
common with
yeah,
sickle
and
cell. Yeah.
yeah, very, very much so. And so after that, I was like, you know what? I'm just out of sight, out of mind. I pushed myself through. I did end up like, cause I think I was working like three jobs at that point. So
What?
I cut back on a job, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to school. So my bachelor's is in psychology, and so I decided to pursue my master's in professional counseling. And then I was like, I'm still going to join the army because I wanted to join, to be an army psychologist at some point.
I have, I have questions.
So,
I have questions. What is you talk about these? You're listing stuff off as if
yeah,
this is normal. You're like,
I'm
and then I was doing
sorry.
this, I was doing that, I was doing this, I was walking in a handstand, and then I was, like these
Yeah,
are you were doing a lot of things. You're like, I don't
I
know, I
was.
was like, what do you, how, what, like,
I know.
where
It
did
makes
your motivation come from, or like, what
um
has you running around like your head on fire? I'm so confused.
I know it's so crazy. So like I gotta go back. So ever since I was 5 years old, I have always wanted to be a doctor. I've always wanted to help people. It
Uh,
was chemistry, like undergrad did it for me. I was like, maybe not. I always wanted to be a pediatrician. And then I was like, you know what? I fell in love with psychology once I took that intro to psych class. And I was like, I can still help people. And because I'm also a childhood sexual abuse survivor. So that's what got me into mental health. So I felt like I had nobody and I wanted to be that person, when it came to helping children. And then I was just fascinated by how the mind works. So that's where being a psychologist came in. Like, I want to be the person to do testing and diagnose and, and all that good stuff. So in my mind, I thought I was taking stuff off my plate, and it was just that brief period of time, and then it never happened again. So she was like, well, we're not going to give you the lupus diagnosis. So, we'll just keep an eye on it. Basically, we'll come back to your lab. So needless to say, so I wasn't officially diagnosed until like years and years later, but I survived basic training. So of course in basic, I'm at Fort Jackson in the middle of the summer. I joined in July. So I'm praying to God, he is like our culprit. So I'm like, oh my God, please, nothing. But miraculously, no, I never had any, no flares, no issues or anything at all. Thank gosh. And then I left basic, went to Fort Benning for officer school, and then transferred to my unit at Bragg. And I was good. I was good for years. And then, it was crazy. And then over the years, I would say 2011-ish is when I started to have periodic joint pain. And it's always in the same, for me, it's always my hands and my forearms really kind of really bother me, dull achy pain. But again, during this time, I'm still carrying a lot, married, dual military. Then I have my daughter. And, I'm now working on my doctorate. So I'm used to having a lot of stuff on my plate. So for me, it's I don't really see it as stress. And then it wasn't until I came to the end of my PhD program, I got matched in Ohio. And I got to where it was the worst, I think, flu I've ever been in life. I had a lot of chest pain. I couldn't walk. I had the rash. So butterfly rash came on my face. Joint pain and stuff was unbearable. And I had both of my kids with me because my husband at the time was active duty and stationed at Bragg. So of course he couldn't come with us. And I was just like, how do I make it this far in my program? And it's my whole body just wants to shut down. And they did the Holzer monitor. So they, found out I did have pericarditis. So I had fluid around my heart.
That's the heart and lung monitor. That's what that
is. And then it started. Yes. And then it started with connective tissue disease. So, I let them know, hey, my mom, has, she was diagnosed by that time. And I was like, she has it. And it was okay, well, we'll do the labs. Even though everything was kind of showing, there was still kind of hesitance there. So after matching, I went back to Fayetteville.
Why did they not connect the dots when you have family with it? And why was that not the first thing that they said? This could definitely be the thing that your mother had.
Right. Yeah. I never got a clear answer for that. I just know my mom was you just watching her, you have to keep advocating, because some doctors just don't listen, or I don't know why. To me, I'm okay, it would have, made treatment and stuff a lot easier. But for whatever reason, that wasn't the case. And then it got worse. So I was okay, well, I'll be in this little gray area for now. And then when I came back to Fayetteville, I got referred to this rheumatologist. I will not say her name or her practice. But needless to say, she told me it was fibromyalgia. And I felt like she was playing in my face. And I was okay, wow, I'm presenting all of this stuff. I'm giving you my worst case from here, and this is what you feel like it is. So I felt like she wasn't taking me seriously at all. So from there, I pushed my doctor to refer me to UNC Chapel Hill, because that's where my mom got all of her treatment from. And that's where the diagnosis.
You said you pushed your doctor to refer you somewhere else. So you broke up with that doctor. You said, this isn't working. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, she was not it.
So how did you do that? What was the conversation like?
So it was crazy because I'm a nice person. I'm really a nice person. But when it
Like, how
comes
you
to
preface that? Because you're like, and then I punched her in the
yes,
face, but I'm guessing you didn't do that. Like,
I am
yeah, you're a
passionate.
nice person. Yes.
Yes, but I literally like I went toe to toe with her at that point because I'm like, okay, now we're on like doctor to doctor level. Like we're not.
Mm,
And so like I hate to throw that card, but I felt like this is my health and my life and
right.
you're not going to minimize it. And so we did. We
Yeah.
had that conversation. She was absolutely nasty. And I was just like, wow, yep, wish you well. You definitely have lost a client and I will not ever refer anybody to you at all. But yes, once I got to UNC, just the history and with the follow up and everything. So I officially got my diagnosis in 2017.
Wow. After
So
how many years of dealing with it?
10
How,
by that point.
10 years. 10 years until diagnosis
Yeah.
and switching doctors because they weren't listening to her. Y'all, if that is not the most unfortunately common story of like consistent, persistent things are happening. I'm telling the doctor. And it took her having to change doctors in order to get the diagnosis that she was after. Pay attention to the fact that you don't have to already be a doctor to say to them, like she's saying, this is my life, this is my health, and we're not doing this. Send me somewhere else.
Yeah.
Take that same phrase if you need to take it, because it makes no sense how long it takes to diagnose people when there are obvious signs and they want it to be everything else besides lupus. This is not the show House. This is real life.
Right.
Sometimes it is lupus, okay, guys? Sometimes it is lupus. Okay. So you got your diagnosis, and how did that impact you then? Like, you're already a doctor. Are you practicing
Yep.
psychology or yes? Okay, so you're practicing and you get the diagnosis. So how did you cope with it? You're helping other people cope with their stuff. How did you cope with your diagnosis?
It was hard. I think initially it was like, oh my gosh, it felt like a death sentence. Only because again, I witnessed. So during that 10-year period, like I watched my mom, like I watched her health kind of decline. I remember like she went from, being on Plaquenil, of course, your prednisone or back and forth, and then like the chemo pill, and then like taking her to chemo appointments. Like it was a lot. And so for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna at some point get to where like I'm not going to be able to have all this joy, and all these wonderful experiences with my kids like my mom, because all I knew was I'm younger being diagnosed and going through the motions that my mom did. So it was depressing at first. And then it's like it turned into, well, how can I try to make that different? And I think that's where it's like the blessing and a curse of me going so hard. It's like really trying to find that balance. So I started to like overdo stuff.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, like when it came to my kids and work, it was like, no, we're having this experience. We're doing this because like I just didn't, I didn't know. And then it didn't help because I was also experiencing a lot of stress like in my marriage at the time, and then not realizing how impactful that was. So there is a like some light at the end of the tunnel with this, but that was probably the sickest that I had been across my lifetime to this point was during my marriage. And miraculously, when I decided to say, hey, I don't, it's just not working out, and I wanted a divorce, that literally turned everything upside down. So I started to really say, like, stress is like going to be the death of me when it comes to, to having lupus. And then when my mom did pass in 2018 at 52, it was like, oh my gosh, like, I have to make changes if I want to be here beyond that. So in 2020, because of course my divorce took a while to finalize thanks to wonderful COVID. But during that time, I was like, you know what? I just woke up one day and said, I'm going to have control over what this looks like. And I just stopped taking my medication. I stopped taking Plaquenil, and I was like, you are going to change your life starting today. So
I love that. Don't listen. People don't listen to us. We both did that, but don't do it.
Yeah, don't do that. Like, don't do
talk to somebody. Yes. Okay. So
yes.
I'm gonna backtrack a tiny bit. So First of all, I want to say, did you hear that sometimes the stress, your illness, could be walking around in your house in human form? If you are around people or a person, if you are with somebody who is stressing you out consistently, break that off, kick them out, get out of that situation, because it could literally be people around you making you sick just from being stressful, just from having everything being stressful. And I want to ask a question about you said you started overdoing everything when you got diagnosed. So what in your mind when you started overdoing everything, was it because you were afraid like this could be your last time doing everything, so you just want to do everything? Like you said, you going everywhere with your kids and doing all this stuff, like you were trying to make a wish kid yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. And because like in my, when my mom was in her 40s, like I'm watching her get to where like, she's wearing a cane or using a cane, I'm sorry, or just watching her like we're doing stuff as a family, but like I'm noticing she's like going off because I know she's in pain. And so it was just like,
Mm,
is this what I have to look forward to? And again,
right,
because I got to enjoy, being like, hey, 20s, I got all of my mom. Like my kids are small. So it's like, or at that time. So it's like,
right.
oh my gosh, like they're not going to have that. So in my mind, it's like, it was just this impending like
Oh,
life. I don't know how long I'm going to have until I get to that point. And so it became very sad. But like I said, not realizing that a lot of it was again my marriage. And so literally mentally I started to think that like I was not going to make it to 40. Like that's what I started to think. And health wise, that's what it was looking like. Like,
right,
then they have talks of, okay, well, you might need to, get on the chemo pill. And I'm just like, yeah, like it's just over.
right.
But once again, all of that with the divorce and everything, and it was like, okay, you have a better chance, and now being able to recognize certain things. And so then that's when I made the lifestyle changes. So all right, now I'm going to, again, I'm a workaholic by nature. So yeah, we're still going to be doing the most, but now I'm going to be more intentional because now I see I don't need to have that if I have more control over the stress that I bring into my life. So when I came off Plaquenil, I changed my diet. I started, getting more active in everything. And even with my career, like, okay, where can I cut back a little bit more? And then that's when I feel like I started to choose life. Like, no,
Mm,
I changed it from you're not going to make it to 40 to where like, no, I want to be here till I'm 100. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
took reign of that. And honestly, I hadn't, and I was doing so good up until recently, but I had not. So I went from having like ER hospital visits and stuff, like, I mean, every other week to where I
Mhm.
went 5.5 years, well, 6 years with nothing. 6 years
Yes.
with
Okay.
nothing.
So you said I want everyone to be very, very clear on what she's talking about right now. This is not for everyone to just jump off all your medications and whatever. The
Right.
point is, any little lifestyle changes that you can make, including curbing your stress, including figuring out what to eat for your body, including, finding out how much is enough to stretch you and not stress you as far as life and goals, because she's a driven person. She is a person who likes to, be busy and feel full in her life. But also she realized how much stress her body could handle. So those are things that no one can really figure out except for you. Having
Mhm.
guidance from a mental health coach, having guidance from a chronic illness coach, having guidance from nutrition guides, all the like that'll help. But she paid attention to what was going on in her body. She paid attention to what her surroundings were doing to her life. So choosing life like that is so, so, so important. Every guest I bring on here has at some point had a statement similar to that. It's like, I chose myself. I chose my children. I chose my life. Choose your life. Figure out what that means to you. Find guidance to help you figure out what that means to you. So, as a mental health professional, how was it different after you got the diagnosis and like you're dealing with your own clients, you're dealing with people every day, counseling them? How did the diagnosis and going through what you went through with your mother, with yourself, with your ex-husband, how did that impact or change the way you dealt with your career and people in your field?
I think for me, it definitely helped me better empathize with people who deal with chronic illness, even chronic pain. Like we all
Mm,
have, different pain thresholds, right? Like I have a high pain tolerance. So that means I'm going to get to dying point before I even go to be seen. Like I'm just going to thug it out. And then I'm like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, maybe I might need to go get checked
I
out.
think that's all of
Um,
us. I think that's all the chronic illness people. Like, we don't
yes.
realize, because like when I was in the hospital, a lot of times they're like, "Are you sure you're okay?" Because like I didn't have a reaction because I had learned how to like self-soothe and just be like, "Okay, this hurts, but I'm gonna thug it out." Like you said, like one thug tear if I gotta do it, but like I'm fine. Like I fell through a glass table once, and
Yes.
I am laying at a glass table, and I call my friend, and I'm like, "Hey, I have good news and bad news." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, so the good news is I might be in the hospital next to your house soon." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm laying here in glass. I fell through a glass table. I'm waiting for the ambulance. And he was like, "What is wrong with you?" Like it is a pain threshold that you will not understand until it has to happen. Like you don't have a choice. It's you grow that pain tolerance. Okay, so you have a high pain tolerance and you're not going to the hospital. Go team, go, go.
Yes. And so I think too, that's when I went in my mind. And so this is like the nerd in me because I'm always like researching. I'm like, I wonder if therapy can be like some sort of mitigating factor when it comes to those of us who deal with some sort of chronic illness. So I took myself as an example. So I had to go back to 2020 mentally, like, so what did I do different in addition to diet and exercise? I got therapy. So what I did was I told myself, like, I have to heal from all of the trauma I previously experienced because I had to think about my mom. And, during the 60s, like when she was growing up, like none of that stuff was anything. And so, like, I started to connect the dots. Like, okay, my mom had lupus and then she had, Strogans and then all these other things, but she ended up having cancer. So, again, what is kind of different? And so for me, and I still am a firm believer, like internalizing a lot of things, I feel like definitely affects you physically. And so I said, so, but that's something that I can help. That's something that I can kind of preach to my clients. Like, no, a lot of things can't be fixed medically, right? Sometimes you're going to be dealt a certain hand, but how you cope with it, how you navigate is really going to make a difference. So it's not to erase or invalidate the level of pain that you have, but you can still live. You just have to
Wait,
reframe.
I'm so sorry. Can y'all hear us? Tony, can you hear us? Can you hear us right now? Hello, hello. She's talking. She's been talking. Can you hear us? I don't know. Somebody said they lost sound. I'm wondering if it's them or if it's us. I don't want anyone to miss this. So good so far. Oh no. Bren, Sonia, anybody, let me know if you can hear us because people are saying they can't. I need my ride or dies to tell me, yes, please watch the replay. Please come back. I'm hoping that the sound is picking up on the recording end. Okay. But anywho, go ahead. Okay, cool. They can hear you. Some people can.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
But yeah, so I do. So I feel like a lot of that we hold inside definitely plays a role in a lot of the, physical illnesses and things that we unfortunately end up enduring. And so that's what I had to think about. And I was like, you know what is something that a lot of us that have been diagnosed have in common? And a lot of us have trauma histories, a lot of us have endured, a lot of different things. We're also suffering from anxiety and depression,
Mm-hmm.
PTSD and different things. And so I'm like, there has to be some correlation. So what is it that we can do different? And so when I started to work with my clients that, go through these different health problems, I literally tried to be that voice for them. Like, again,
Yeah.
nobody is taking away that life sucks, right? You got to take medication,
Mm-hmm.
go to doctor's appointments, and have all these limits and things like that. But there are still things that you can still do. There's a
Mm-hmm.
still life that you can create.
Yeah.
And it's just going to look different, but it doesn't
Right.
mean that it's going to have to suck all of the time. And so that's what I
Exactly.
teach. Like, Like
Girl.
I still do everything that I do, and I try not to let lupus kind of hinder that. And
Right.
so it's like I had to say it's a part of me, but it does not define me. My name is not Shenae Lupus Whitehead. Like that is not my name
Hello?
at all.
Testify. Hello? That's crazy. That's exactly what it is. It's like, yes, this is a part of you now. This is like your conjoined twin, I guess. Like this is your broke best friend. Like leave me alone. But you still have your own identity. Even identical twins have their own identity. So like this lupus is not a part of your identity as much as it's a part of your story. It's a part of like motivation for certain things. It is something you accommodate to make your life work. It's still not your identity. You're not changing your name and putting lupus in the middle. So yes, preach that from the rooftops. I love that. And you were going on the list of mental illness that goes along with chronic illness, and yes, you were like reading my chart. Yes, okay, it's depression and PTSD, because medical trauma is something that I don't know how to explain to people. Like if you know, kind of thing. Like all when I have long hospital stays, sometimes I'll go home and I'll still hear the beeps and the beep, beep and wake up at the times that they would wake me up to give me shots and take my blood and all that stuff. Like it's a traumatic experience that you're having, being sick, in pain, and people bothering you and not believing you, and the gaslighting and the you got to do this and take this and new medication and try this. And blah, blah, blah. Like it's so much more than people like. It's not a flu, guys. Like it's different. It's very different. So I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that you're in the space and doing this work and like advocating for us, because you get it. Like I understand that people can go to school for something, but to be in the shoes of somebody who's going through the things is different. And I'm so grateful that I found you. I'm so grateful that my audience is going to be able to
Thank you.
talk to you and follow you and contribute to what you're doing. I want to read a couple of the comments here.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so, well, to God be the glory, choose life. I pinned one comment right here and it says, Dr. Whitehead, your perseverance is amazing. I concur.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Brent Harris from Oklahoma said, medical breakups are so hard. They're so hard. They really are. And I want to acknowledge everybody in here from Oklahoma, from DC, Washington, DC, from Trinidad, from New York, from Strong Island specifically. Yo, she's wearing clothes. Stop asking that. What's wrong with you?
Yes, I have on clothes.
Yeah, people have multiple comments. Why is she naked? She's not. I would not allow people naked on my show.
The shirt is just off shoulder.
Yeah, see? Y'all are ridiculous. Survivor. Amen, amen. Fibromyalgia is a medical. What? Oh, come on. Let me see this comment. Is medical community politically correct term that they don't know what's wrong with you? Yeah, same with lupus, though. They're like, we don't know. It's probably this thing. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. 100% internalized. Okay. Okay, a lot of people telling me they can hear. Thank you so much. Tell it, girl. Tell it. Yes, I love it. People patting you down. It's very cute. But yeah. So you're at this point. How did you decide to get to be on TikTok? How did you decide like that was your platform of choice to grow your everything?
So yeah. So it's funny because I feel like I've been like the late social media person. Like when Facebook came out, when I was, like my undergrad in college, of course, we were the cool kids on the block. And then like I was late to Instagram. I literally joined in like 2014. But with my kids, seeing them, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to do something professionally. So it started off me just really focusing on the different, because there's some type of mental health awareness to something like every single month. So I was like, okay. And then when May rolled around, and of course that's, our National Lupus Awareness Month, I was like, you know what? Let me do that. And then when I went to June, I didn't get the same love. So I was like, hold on. Right. There are a lot of people that want to hear me talk about mental health with lupus. And so then that kind of became my niche. And like ever since, I've just been going with it. So I try to really, come from a place where I speak about either stuff that like I've thought about experienced, or things that I've heard people kind of talk about, and I just give like my raw opinion on it. And of course, it's a platform, so it's educational. Like I no clients or anything from it. And if I can't answer, then I do my best to kind of guide people to resources. But I've really appreciated being that support for people, because I never knew that even existed, or that many people have lupus, know somebody that has lupus. Like, it's been so loving and supportive, and it really just, I mean, everybody puts me in my feels when I literally go through, like, it's me responding through all like the comments. Like, I will take my time. Like, I love it. I really, really do. And I think it just, for me, really solidifies and confirms, like, the reason that I'm in the field that I'm in. And I was like, I never expected to go into that direction professionally, but maybe that is what is needed.
It's so needed. Like, the community of it all, like, I would not be here, promise you. I would not be here if this community did not hold me the way they hold me. Like, I remember being diagnosed and feeling so alone, and like, nobody even knows what this is. Like, this is so
Right.
dumb. Like, I don't even know. Like, I can't talk about this with anybody. And like, the support groupie type of things that they had online were all just really sad. Everyone was like, "Oh, we're all dying. Everybody's dying." And I'm like, "No, thank you. No,
Right.
thank you." So I definitely appreciate when I've come across somebody who's like positive but real on social media, because there's also the opposite of people who are like, everything's amazing all of the time, and I wake up and the butterflies carry me out of my bed. Like, that's not real, and I don't appreciate it, because if someone's watching that and they feel like their life is different, they're like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I so sick all the time? Why is it so hard for me to get out of bed? And
Yeah.
I want to make sure people feel like, yeah, that's me. I see that. Not like, look at me, more like, yeah, me too. Like, understand. So I'm gonna have a couple more questions. So
Okay.
you started a nonprofit, which I think is really, really, really cool. So how did you come about with that? Like, what was the motivation there?
So, my mom, my mom was so selfless. Like, I mean, even through death, like, she was just always thinking about, everybody else. And so her biggest thing, especially with kids, I remember like one of my sister's friends got pregnant in high school, and like her and my dad, like, they took her in, like, took
Aw.
care of this little girl. Like, they were always like the parents of the whole neighborhood. But it was something like special about children. Like, my mom was like, no kid should ever like have to go through Christmas and not like wake up with nothing. And
Right.
so I try to take like the smaller things that she did, because the church that we attended then was on the, smaller. And I was like, you know what? I want to take my mom's vision, and I want to like put it out even more. So I started to attach myself to local organizations, specifically for kids that were either like lower income or in foster care. And so with them, like, every year we've done like school supplies, Christmas, I go all out for the kids. I'm talking like over 300 kids that like we will get gifts and stuff for. So I was like, okay, we have that. But then I know too, I will always thank my mom for the her sacrifice, especially because my mom was a freshman, no, sophomore at Seton Hall University in New Jersey, because that's where my family is from. That's where I was born.
Mhm.
Um, and she dropped out because she got pregnant with me. And my mom wanted to be a nurse. She still was able to fulfill her dream just later. And
Mhm.
so I was like, you know what? She made that educational sacrifice for me. So how can I pay it forward to other women? And so what I then did was I also started a scholarship program. So I have given away over $100,000 of my own money,
Woo!
because I don't have time to find grants. Everybody gets them, and they're like, you need to. But I'm like, I mean, if I have it to do it, I'm going to do it. So every year, I
Okay,
have
listeners,
given
my mouth
away.
is on the floor. Like,
Yes,
jaw dropped. What?
yes,
That's
yes. I've given
insane.
away scholarships specifically to young women to help them. And it's been beautiful, like hearing the stories of some of them later. Like, we'll track them. Some of them have gone into the field of psychology. I mean, nurses, lawyers,
Wow.
physical therapists. And then my daughter, my youngest one, she joined pageants a couple of years ago. And so then I've attached myself to two pageant systems, and I give their national winners scholarships as well for like the same thing. I'm just about women, women empowerment. I'm a girl's girl. Like I'm not a
Yes,
mean.
I see.
And I'm
Amazing.
like, it's beautiful. We have our annual ball every November in honor of my mom for Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And I mean, I love it. I love being able to, kind of say like, hey, that's me kind of paying it forward to these different, young girls and women that want to fulfill their dreams. And even, if it's something small, like, hey, knowing that I'm contributing to them getting there the same way that my mom did me. And so that's continuing her legacy, in that right. So those are like really the big things. And then just other community events. We do the Big Hat Brunch for Nana every May. So that's in honor of my mom, for Lupus. And like I'll bring in guest speakers to kind of talk about their stories. And that's like a real, we all get dressed up, wear our big hats and everything. And
That's so
um,
fun.
yeah. And then domestic violence, because I'm a survivor. So I talk about that, what that was like growing up, witnessing, like my mom be physically abused by my dad.
Mhm.
So that part. And then we do Child Abuse Awareness Month. So usually with like all of the big things, I try to do like educative things for the community. But it's therapeutic for me because it's me finally telling my story,
Mm,
because, I've protected, so many people for so many years. And it's like, you know what? You don't get to have that control anymore. And
boom.
this is what made me into the person. And just letting people know that it's okay to speak out. It is
Right.
okay to speak out. And and I've gotten a lot of times afterwards, like, wow, I went through that same thing.
Exactly.
And you've helped me. And so knowing that gives me a lot of satisfaction. Like, that's why I tell everybody, my life has nothing to do with me. It's about
Mhm.
what I can do to help the next person.
There's a comment that says, keep walking in your calling and answering those you were called to serve. God bless.
Thank you.
I agree that this is all of the things you go through is to help other people be able to go through it a little smoother than you did.
Hmm.
And this is your first podcast.
Yes.
Welcome to the world of podcasts, girl. You're gonna be everywhere. You're gonna be everywhere. So definitely follow Dr. Whitehead everywhere, and make sure you check out her foundation, whatever events she's going to or doing, posting. Make sure you figure out if there's tickets you can buy and things, how we can support our girl, because this is her first podcast, and I want her to be shocked and amazed by the amount of support that we give her. Okay, guys. So last, I would love to know if they missed the whole podcast and they don't know anything, and you want to give one final nugget, one drop in the bucket to, you know, impact their day, their life, anything that you need them to know. One nugget. What would you tell my audience right now?
That is a really good question. Um, I think for me, so I'm gonna make this statement in general, because I feel like, you get any diagnosis of any sort, physical, mental, life is gonna life. So you're gonna go through negative stuff, right? I think, and this is something that I live by myself. I would love for all of us to get to where no matter how bad the situation is, we can reframe and still find something that we should take away from it. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't 100% have to be positive, but it's when we find ourselves focusing so much on the negative aspects that we lose that control for ourselves, and everything around us is just daunting. So if we could take that time to reframe the situations that we're in or the information that we are given, to just really appreciate the moment and take from it what we're supposed to take. And just know, you're not going through it alone. I hate to be the one to say, oh, it could always be worse, because I feel like everybody says that like all of the time.
It's
But
true.
just know that it is your lived experience. Nobody can take that away from you. And you don't need that validation from anybody on the outside, but just reframe it, because there's still something to be learned from it. And it has nothing to do with your character or the type of person you are. And we got to stop personalizing things, because sometimes the message is meant for how we're supposed to help and not necessarily a direct statement to us.
Mm, mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. It 100%. 100%. Reframing things in general can save your life. It can save your life because what you focus on expands. And if you are looking out a window and it's a gorgeous day outside, but there's a speck of dirt on the window and you're just staring at the speck of dirt like, this speck of dirt, you're missing the beautiful day outside.
Yeah.
So stop focusing on the dirt and start focusing on that beautiful day. And thank you so much, Dr. Shenae Whitehead. This
You're
was
welcome.
an incredible interview. Your story is incredible. Like, we could probably do a part 2 and 3 and 4, but keep us in the loop of all the events you have going on so we can invite. I don't know who I have. I have people all over the planet here, watching and listening. So wherever you are, tell people your social media. I'll post it everywhere, but tell everybody your social media for them to follow along.
Yeah, so it's Dr. Shenae Whitehead on Instagram, well, on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Now, Instagram and Facebook are linked. I kind of slowed down on that one and focus more on TikTok. I just haven't made up my mind, but I think I'm going to just have the lupus stuff spread across, because I was trying to keep it separate, but I think I'm just going to keep it across, and that's just going to be my new thing. And then intermittently, I might interject some different stuff in.
We've taken over. That's fine. We love that for us. But thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Yes, I think so. On Facebook, the comments and stuff will be up for a month and then they go away. But you had a bunch of comments and people love you. So we definitely. Oh, God bless you guys. Beautiful wisdom here. Congratulations. Crushing your very first podcast, women's empowerment. Yes, incredible. So many good comments. So go look at those. But thank you so much for being here. And everybody, have a beautiful, gorgeous day. And we love you. Stay happily healed. Bye.
Bye.